A massive winter storm is knocking on America's door. And folks, it's going to be a total mess. We're looking at a serious combo of snow and deep freeze hitting the states soon, but some lucky or unlucky spots are getting the brunt of it. The party starts today with a massive Arctic blast gearing up to turn the eastern US into a giant popsicle. This plunge is bringing dangerous chills, likely smashing temperature records for millions of you. But the real headline is the monster storm system that could drop the most snow some places have seen since 1989. It's starting a road trip from the Gulf up the East Coast, threatening to dump a mountain of snow tomorrow and Sunday. This thing is going to bulk up fast and turn into what we call a bomb cyclone. That basically means the snow and wind are going to crank up to 11 late Saturday into Sunday morning. If the track holds, we could see over a foot of powder on the East Coast. And get this, maybe even snow in Florida tomorrow night. So, let's cut through the noise and break down exactly what you need to know about this beast slamming into the country. Alright, looking at the next 48 hours or so, we're staring down the barrel of one of the wildest Arctic freezes the US has seen in a year. And to add insult to injury, we've got a snowstorm brewing too, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Here's the current setup. A massive blob of Arctic air is just parked over the Midwest and Northeast. Fun fact, this is actually the same air mass that messed up our weekend just a few days ago. It's basically recycling itself, spinning around and getting ready to dump freezing air back down into the south. Heading into tonight and early tomorrow, keep your eyes on this bright white patch right here. That's the heart of the beast, and it's about to take a nosedive straight into the southeast. We're talking bone-chilling temps for Georgia, the Carolinas, and Alabama, reaching all the way to Florida by Sunday. So yeah, expect to be shivering in those areas as we roll through the weekend. A lot of you are going to wake up to temperatures that literally rewrite the history books for this time of year. We're actually expecting over 100 records to shatter in the next 5 to 7 days. Bottom line, this Arctic mass isn't messing around. By early next week, the southern plains and southeast might finally catch a break and thaw out a little. But don't get too cozy, because another cold snap is likely hitting midweek, so winter is just piling it on. We'll circle back to that deep freeze covering most of the country in a sec. First, I need to highlight this growing snow threat creeping up the East Coast. This event kicks off tonight and doesn't let up until Sunday. Starting tonight, we're already seeing light to moderate flakes, dusting parts of Kentucky and West Virginia. This snapshot is from 6 o'clock this evening, showing snow creeping over the Appalachians and into southern Virginia. Meanwhile, a low-pressure system is sneaking out of Florida and climbing the coast late tonight into tomorrow morning. It's a pretty messy, widespread area of low pressure right now. Honestly, it doesn't look like much, yet it won't even be that impressive by Saturday morning. But once it gets closer to the Carolinas on Saturday, things start to get interesting. The system is going to get its act together and start organizing. The big kicker is the moisture it's going to pull in from the northwest. That's when we'll see heavy snow bands setting up shop across the Carolinas and even down into Georgia. The snow map is expanding, and weirdly enough, we might see flakes in central Tennessee and southern Alabama on Saturday. And get this, some of that might actually be lake effect snow. I know, lake effect snow in Alabama and Tennessee sounds insane, but it's on the table for Saturday. Usually we're talking about Lake Michigan for that kind of action, which is definitely happening this weekend too. But even though these southern lakes are tiny compared to the Great Lakes, they can still churn out some snow, so definitely keep that on your radar. After sunrise, expect the snow to really spread out across the Carolinas, Georgia, and eastern Tennessee. We're going to see pockets of heavy snow, especially hammering eastern North Carolina near Cape Hatteras. You are going to see a razor-thin line between plain old rain and the white stuff. Heads up for Saturday morning though, we are looking at a glazing of ice, nothing major, but enough to be annoying. That slushy mess is mostly targeting the Myrtle Beach crew and creeping into the deep south of North Carolina. Charleston folks, you might catch some freezing rain too. We are talking 100th to a 20th of an inch, just a sprinkle. It won't knock your lights out, but it is definitely enough to turn the roads into a skating rink, so driving is going to be a nightmare. And don't forget the wind, Saturday is going to be howling, especially if you are hugging the coast. So yeah, you might lose power, but blame the gale force gusts, not the ice. Come mid-morning Saturday, that snow map is going to light up like a Christmas tree. Here is the kicker though, we have got these tricky dry slots popping up across the Carolinas. That dry air is going to eat right into the snow totals for some of you. It is a localized buzzkill for parts of the Carolinas. Some backyards get cheated out of powder, but it won't happen everywhere. Take Raleigh, for instance. You could have 6 or 7 inches in one county, while Raleigh gets buried under 10 or 11. That is the kind of chaotic energy these dry slots bring to the table on Saturday. By lunchtime, it is dumping snow, Cape Hatteras, eastern North Carolina, Virginia Beach, up to Richmond and Roanoke. You guys are getting hammered. The flakes are just going to keep on flying in those spots. Even southern Georgia isn't safe. We are talking light to moderate snow creeping all the way down to Valdosta. Saturday afternoon, the snow blanket covers everything Carolinas, Virginia, stretching right into southern Maryland. It just won't quit. Late Saturday into early Sunday, the action shifts almost entirely to the coast. So if you are inland, you are done. But North Carolina, Virginia Beach, down to Myrtle, you are still in the thick of it. This low-pressure center is bombing out rapidly to 970 millibars. That is literally Category 1 hurricane pressure. And hey, Florida, I didn't forget about you. Believe it or not, Orlando and Tampa might actually see some flakes tomorrow night. The temps are bottoming out, and there is just enough moisture hanging around. We might get some rare Gulf effect snow, maybe a dusting here and there, but don't expect to build a snowman. It is going to be super isolated, if it happens at all. Come Sunday, the storm is packing its bags and heading northeast. Unless you are near Cape Hatteras or Myrtle Beach, your weekend is clearing up. The snow lingers through the late morning hours. By afternoon, the only folks still shoveling are up in Cape Cod and Nantucket. For New England, this thing is picky. New Jersey, DC, Southern New England, you guys are mostly off the hook. Hate to break it to you, but you are missing out on the blockbuster storm. If you were crossing your fingers for a snow day, well, sorry to burst your bubble. But if your snow shovel is collecting dust and you want to keep it that way, congrats, you dodged a bullet this weekend. Now, nailing down the totals for this beast is tricky. Here is what the National Weather Service is betting on. Personally, I think they are playing it a little safe with the numbers for South Carolina. They have got North Carolina and Virginia painted with a broad brush of 5 to 10 inches pretty much everywhere. Same for South Carolina, except near Savannah where you might just get a dusting or an inch. Atlanta is looking at 1 to 2 inches, and up near Virginia Beach, they are calling for 4 to 6. Up north near Jersey and Long Island, basically nothing, a coating to 2 inches max. Nantucket and Cape Cod might grab 6 inches, but again, I think this forecast is lowballing it. Then you look at the HRRR model, and this thing is coming out swinging with huge numbers. It is painting 12 to 18 inches across almost all of central and eastern North Carolina, and even burying upstate South Carolina. That is a way more intense scenario. So, where do I stand? I think the truth is going to land somewhere smack in the middle. All right, folks, generally speaking for North Carolina, we are looking at a widespread 6+ inches of the white stuff for most of you. Just remember, if you get stuck in a dry slot, those totals are gonna drop. If you are tucked away just east of the Appalachian Mountains, you might see lower amounts there too. But for basically anywhere in central and eastern North Carolina, 6 to 12 inches is absolutely on the table. Now, if you are hanging out near Cape Hatteras, specifically just south of Virginia Beach, we could easily push closer to 15 inches. That is some serious accumulation. Honestly, I would not be shocked if this winter storm decides to show off and overperform. We are talking about super frigid air diving south, which means all this snow is going to be incredibly fluffy. And fluffy snow means we are going to see massive drifts. The wind is going to pick it up, blow it around, and naturally, that snow is going to stack up way faster. So yeah, I really do think the totals could end up closer to the high end of what we are seeing here. As for Atlanta and Savannah, don't get your hopes up for a winter wonderland. I don't think we have much of a shot at significant snow there. You are probably looking at a dusting to maybe an inch in those spots. Heading back into Virginia, the National Weather Service numbers look pretty spot on to me. But I just want to point out, if you are in the Carolinas, do not blink if those snowfall numbers keep climbing. And if they do jump up, we will be the first ones to shout it out. So, smash that subscribe button. We might drop another video later today if the forecast decides to get a little wild. Let's zoom in a bit. This is the HRRR model for the Carolinas, and it is painting a picture of a solid foot of snow across the central and eastern parts of North Carolina. Now, personally, I think that is being a bit dramatic and is likely an overestimate right now. I think 6 to 12 inches feels a lot more grounded in reality. But hey, it is not impossible. It all hangs on the track of the storm and how much moisture we can tap into. If the moisture holds up, that is definitely something to keep in the back of your mind. A foot of snow is not out of the question. We are going to be glued to this for the next 24 hours to see if the forecast throws us any curveballs. Another huge headache with this storm is going to be the wind. We are expecting some gnarly gusts during the daylight hours on Saturday. And this isn't just a problem for the folks getting snow either. Even down in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, we are talking wind gusts hitting 40 to 50 miles per hour. With a strong north wind, it is going to feel absolutely bone-chilling. But for the snow zones, blowing snow and drifting are going to be non-stop. Expect that chaos all day Saturday across the Carolinas and Virginia. Inland areas are going to be fighting gusts around 25 to 35 miles per hour. On the immediate coast from Myrtle Beach up to southern Maryland, gusts could hit 50 to 60 miles per hour. And it is only going to get nastier Saturday evening into Sunday as the low-pressure system revs up. Places like Cape Hatteras could see wind gusts flirting with 80 miles per hour. That is just bananas. Even inland spots near Raleigh could get hammered with winds around 40 to 45 miles per hour. Combine that with the snow, and you have got a recipe for blizzard conditions. I fully expect blizzard warnings to pop up for the first time in 4 to 8 years for some of these areas this weekend. On top of that, visibility is going to be a nightmare with all that blowing and drifting snow. You could easily see visibility on the roads drop to a quarter mile or less, which means travel is going to be a disaster in these spots. Our winter storm severity index, it is completely maxed out along the North Carolina coast. We are talking extreme impacts for Cape Hatteras and the far eastern edge of the state. If you are in the red zone, prepare for major disruptions this weekend. Orange means moderate trouble, and yellow is minor. Over in South Carolina and Georgia, we have a huge chunk of the map marked for at least moderate impacts as of right now. That is especially true east of Atlanta and just north of Savannah. Charleston, Greenville, Columbia, all you guys are in the crosshairs for moderate to major impacts from this beast. So if you haven't started prepping yet, get moving. And for those of you who hate the cold, yeah, I have got absolutely no good news for you. We are staring down another massive Arctic blast ripping through the southeast and up the east coast this weekend, with record-breaking lows likely. You might be thinking that by the middle or end of next week, things will look a bit better. Well, hate to burst your bubble, but it probably is not getting any better. We are looking at 1, maybe 2 more punches of frigid air by the end of next week. The East Coast is basically going to stay in the freezer. The real kicker with this weather pattern is that over 100,000 people are still without power this morning from last weekend's storm. Just brutal. Take folks in Nashville, Tennessee, for instance. You guys are stuck in the freezer section, with zero chance of thawing out before Monday rolls around. With the ground looking like a total ice rink, expect that bone-chilling cold to hang tight for the next few days. We might catch a tiny break come midweek, but don't break out the beach gear. It is definitely going to be a short tease. That Polar Express looks relentless, likely dumping more freezing air all over the mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, and up through the Northeast. Even the Sunshine State is not safe. We could see that Arctic blast reach all the way down to Florida later in the week. Though, I have got to admit, the long-range crystal ball is still a bit foggy on exactly how that pattern plays out. Huge thanks for hanging out for today's weather update. If you are new to the crew, go ahead and smash that subscribe button below. I am playing it by ear for the next update. Could be later today, maybe tomorrow, or even a random live stream. Who knows? Best bet is to ring that notification bell so you do not miss a beat if I go live. Catch you in the next one.